What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Hoop. I'm here with DC. Hoop looks like he's about to go out on a date or something, but that's not the case. He's got to hit the Rocket Mortgage Classic dinner shortly. So, Hoop, while we have you here, there's no PGA show tonight. It's going to be tomorrow, but tell the people why that is.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people when they talk about their golf game, I think a lot of people inflate how good they're. Like, oh, I'm good at golf. I'm decent.
Guilty.
I'll be one of
Guilty.
Hey, but you put some evidence out there to back it. This swing was solid. I wish I had that swing. Not very good at golf, but I got the opportunity to golf in the Pro-Am for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. The drawing for your partner is tonight. So tonight I'm going to find out who I golf with tomorrow and get the tee time and all that. So yeah, we're going to do the PGA show on Wednesday, and we're going to use this to our advantage. I'm going to be out there scouting this course. I mean, I'm going to have the ins and outs. I'm going to get us pictures of the layered rough, which I know Mangone is curious to see what that's all about. We're going to have top-notch information here at Run Pure Sports in regards to how this Rocket Mortgage Classic is going to play this week.
Yep, I'm excited to get all of that information. It should be good. DC, what's your thoughts on Hoop's little event that he's got going on tomorrow?
I'll say this. I don't know. I don't play PGA every week, and normally I might skip the Rocket Mortgage Classic. No, not this week. I'm not missing out on the Run Pure Good Mojo. I'm getting in on whatever the core plays are we're putting out, because this is too good of mojo to miss out on this DFS good. I'm not doing any research. I'm just riding with Snyder, Hoop, the guys who's ever out there, and going from there, because boots on the ground, good mojo. I mean, you just can't miss out here.
So Hoop, it's a random draw to see who you play with. I'm assuming obviously Bryson would be a great option. I think you'd love to play with Doc Redman. I want you to play with some no-name, right? Absolute no-name guy. You make a great connection with him. What happens is he wins the whole event. The good mojo's flowing, and then you got Run Pure Sports as the sponsorship on the bag, right? That's what we need, Hoop. That's what I'm looking for.
That's the plan. I mean, that is truly the plan going into this whole thing. The goal was, I'd hope to get paired with Bryson. That would be pretty sweet. This is obviously a weaker field event. So, the options after Bryson fall off pretty quickly. But we kind of, grind all these PGA events. So some of our heroes are in this field. So I'm hoping to get a RPS hero if we can't get Bryson.
Listen, I'll go with the core plays from RPS for the rest of it. I'm playing whoever you play with. They are in my lineup. There's just no question about it.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, we're going to get like the last guy in this field, and he's going to end up being like 5 to 10% owned.
Yeah.
We have people asking, will you be in the player pool, Hoop? I mean, what would your price tag be? I mean, of course, it'd be probably below 6K, but would that help you be able to get some other golfers?
I think you might get salary added to get Hoop in.
I think I would have to be like slightly above 0, and you would need me to withdraw from the event before I teed off. Taking the 0 from me and then getting all the top tier golfers would definitely be the play if you rostered Hoop.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was fun to talk about that, but we don't got time for shenanigans. I was told we got to be out by 5. So when this ship shuts down, don't be mad at me. Be mad at Hoop. Be mad at DC. He said, he blamed the guy in charge of the show. I'm shutting it down at 5. I don't care. So let's get this thing moving. We'll give out the MLB plays. K Falik is probably really excited about that. Before we do that, just want to say, guys, sign up at Run Pure Sports, get all that golf mojo, the MLG mojo. It's stuff that you guys need to get in on so you can get all those winners. Use that code RPSHeater25 or even Euro25, get you 25% off your first payment. But
the chat said I'm going to have trouble standing up if it's Werenski. If I know I'm paired with Werenski, I'm wearing the tightest undies to hide any movement below the belt. I am getting the side 2 sizes small underwear, and I'm just packing it in so no one can see the movement.
That would be amazing pairing. How about the opposite side? How would a Ricky Flower pairing be with Hoop?
Yeah.
Is he in the field?
Maybe I can get his game back on track. I mean, he fucked me so bad last week. I mean, I had some good teams with Ricky. If I'm paired with Ricky, there could be some issues because I might tell him about the disaster. Maybe he'll reimburse me. How about that? Maybe
our guy Snyder seems very sharp at the golf. Perhaps he could pass along some tips for you to give to Ricky to improve his game.
That's a good call. Yeah. I should talk to Snyder. He can get Ricky lined up. Be my boy Snyder recommends you, try this sort of shot shape or something.
If not, find out how the workbench is doing for him, right? Maybe it's not going so well. Try to get him back on track in that department. Maybe that.
Well, he's got the kid on the way, so I mean, he at least had one session. We'd assume, right?
we don't know if he had some along the way, right? I mean, that's the thing we just got to make sure. So, but that was fun to talk about. I wish we could talk about it longer. I would talk about it for 55 minutes if I could, but I was told we got to be out by 5, so we're gonna get out of here by 5, and we're gonna go talk about the sticky stuff. So, DC, the floor is yours. We got Brandon Woodruff on the now. We got Robbie Ray, Walker Buehler from the Dodgers, right? And they're known to use that sticky stuff. So there's some guys at the top that, they're names, they're solid pitchers, but they're not the Max Scherzers of the world, right? They're not these just absolute dominant guys. Robbie Ray has been pretty dominant this year, but how are you kind of handling the pitching? I know Woodruff has been really dominant, but I have concerns about him today more than others.
Yeah, I'm with you. You kind of have to. Woodruff, Buehler, two of the guys that have been most affected by this. There's no question about that, or at least their pitches have been affected. Woodruff has kind of maintained pitching pretty well, at least in his last outing against Arizona, which we've seen a lot of, most good pitchers have kind of run straight through Arizona, sticky stuff or not. So he's not my number one pitcher today, but I totally get it. He will not be quite the same pitcher we saw in the first couple months of the year going forward, at least in my opinion, but I think he's still a fine play. Buehler, a little bit of the same thing. I wasn't really on Buehler before all this stuff went down. I mean, for the most part, right? He was just always a little bit too expensive for me. Not that he's been bad, but 21, 22 DraftKings fantasy points per game for usually a 10K plus pitcher. I don't feel like I've missed out on too much fading Buehler for the most part. And now I know he's generally pitched all right, since this stuff came down, but last start was a little rocky against a pretty good opponent in the Cubs. And now he gets a very left-handed heavy San Francisco lineup. So I don't think I would be on Buehler here regardless, and having some concerns about, what's going on with him, some real concerns, at least from me, has me off of Buehler entirely. So not that he's a terrible player or anything like that, but just not for me. Robbie Ray, I don't know. I don't know what to say with Robbie Ray. I really couldn't find much there that indicates that his performance is going to decline, but he is coming off, I wouldn't say a mediocre outing against Miami. He was good, but only 6 strikeouts and only 5 strikeouts to start before that against Baltimore. If you look at previously, the previous 3 starts, it was 10, 13, 9. This stuff comes out that they're going to crack down, and he goes to 6 and 5 strikeouts. So a little bit of concern there as well. Those are kind of the main 3 guys that I'm worried about this stuff with in terms of the aces. I'm sure a lot of people are going to play those 3 guys. I don't really have a problem with it. I do think all 3 guys will pitch fine, but those guys are going to be a fade for me. I'll be going a little bit cheaper at pitcher today.
Yep, Joey Work in the chat. He says 230 people watching, only 65 likes. I mean that's hurtful. We got to get those things up. We've been crushing the Showdown content. People say the members never win, but man, absolute Showdown heater from BigT this weekend. Hoop, talk about that a little bit. Like the Showdown heater this weekend was absolutely phenomenal, and we'll keep it rolling here again tonight with some Hawks and Bucks, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the MLB show yesterday. I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend all around. Had the NBA Showdown winners, PGA winners, MLB winners. I mean, we were firing on all cylinders over the weekend. The NBA Showdown, though, was, very impressive. Big T is at the top of his game when people around the industry are kind of coming at him and making fun of the lineup construction. I know a couple weeks ago when he played the 2 guys that potentially wouldn't play, but you needed that because it got you 4 studs in that game. And he's on a different level than these people, and you can kind of see that they're getting frustrated with their comments toward him.
That's like the whole point of Big T and Showdown, right? Yeah. He just does whatever he wants. Like he makes a call, makes a bold call, and he's right all the time. And when you're right on those bold calls, that's how you ship the Showdown. So I mean, we're not dealing with the haters here, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
no, sir.
DC, Big T is making some like hot takes, right? But he's not out here touting like backup quarterbacks in Showdown, right? He's out here touting some guys that can actually get some run. And, the game script, right? He's doing it the correct way, at least. So got to get.
He's telling a story how the game's going to go down, and it goes down exactly like he said. So I don't know how you can really hate on that. You literally just told everyone, oh, here's what's going to happen. It happened, and the projections were wrong. Well, okay, I enjoy first place. So yeah.
Wild, but yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend for them, and you'll be back at it. I mean, all throughout these last few games in the conference finals, and then into the NBA finals as well. I mean, but talking about the likes, I mean, we got them up to 101, but I feel like we're like hacked or something. We got 12 dislikes. There's 10 when the show started. The haters are colluding against us. I feel you never see that 10 dislikes before you start.
Don't we usually just have a couple throughout the whole show?
Yeah.
A few,
yeah.
It's okay. There's one that shows up every day. Like I go through and I set up the show tweet early in the day, right? There's always one there to start the day off. I make sure to just put that in there right early to. I
hope this isn't a coordinated attack by one of our rival companies. That would be
it might be
war to get into.
You know how we pound them is we just get like 80% like rate. If everyone just pounds the like to just own these haters, that would be absolutely great just to get a massive number up there. So just hit it.
For real.
It'd be funny to get this number way up. In terms of the pitching, I mean, the guy I feel most comfortable with is Robbie Ray at 10.5. Yeah, I mean, since the spin rates, sticky substance stuff came out, I mean, hasn't been as dominant as we were seeing before, but draws a good matchup here against Seattle. So I think he's my favorite at the top. In terms of paying up for two pitchers, probably going to be kind of tough tonight. I mean, we will have the value to do so, but there are some offenses that we're definitely going to want to get some exposure to. You're starting to see the turn here towards the offenses. Combination of the sticky substance and then this warmer weather around the country is really leading to more runs. And, it's kind of turning into a situation where you need to put an emphasis on your bats, not necessarily over pitching, but, you definitely want to make sure you get exposure to the bats. We do have some cheap bats, so that do make it easy to get up in this range. Charlie Morton's another guy that I have some interest in. How do you pronounce the guy's name for the A's?
Caprillion.
Yeah. 8K. I like him at home against Texas. It's just not a great slate for pitching. The Cleveland guy, I don't mind taking a flyer on at 6.1K. Mejia, right? That's got to be it. Mejia, 6.1K. I have interest in him, but my favorite up top for sure is Robbie Ray.
Yep, Ray is my favorite up top, and I was surprised to hear you mention Mejia Hoop. I thought that was going to be maybe an off-the-board guy that I wanted to get some more thoughts on from DC. But DC, go through these guys in like the mid-tier, right? Like Jose, you're cutie. I can't say it right.
These names are brutal on the slate.
I know.
I got you guys. Jose Urquidy,
right? Jose Urquidy. He's been great this year, DC, right? I mean, he's definitely been a lot better. But it's like you're kind of looking at the price there. Like, can I really pay $9.9 for him, right? Trevor Rogers, a guy who we've liked so far. Now he is a priced up guy, right? At 9.7. Kevin Gausman, another guy that early in the year we were on and treated us well. Matchup against the Dodgers isn't great, but a bit overpriced at 9.6. It seems like some of these price tags are going up. Giolito in the mid-tier, 8.7. That's a pretty nice price tag. He's another spin rate guy, right? So talk about this mid-tier because you can poke holes in all these guys. And then I definitely want to hear a take from you on, Mr. Mejia because Hoop likes him and I like him. So I'm curious to hear what you got on.
Yeah, actually, Mejia wasn't that much on my radar, but maybe a little bit of an oversight for me, frankly, because there's a couple pitchers that I really, really like that I'm kind of honing in on for my teams. Like my favorite slates are when I think I've got two good pitchers, preferably a little bit cheaper, preferably a little bit low owned that I really trust. And, you kind of lock them in and build different kind of stacks around them. Those are kind of my favorite slates. Mejia, I think he is actually probably a decent play at 6,100 for sure. It's Detroit. The upside is there. And then the big thing is you saw 96 pitches out of him in his last start. Previous high was 77. So, it wasn't a super easy matchup against Minnesota. I know you might argue differently, Mangone, as a resident Minnesota Twins hater, but yeah, I have no problem with Mejia. Looking into him a little bit here, just a little bit.
DC, one thing that stuck out too about Mejia to me was, and again, small sample on looking at this year, but if you look at Mejia, walks are kind of his issue. And what do the Tigers not do? They don't walk a lot, right? Yeah. So one of his problems that he has is not there. And the strikeouts are enough where I think he'll be able to get the job done, right? Yeah. For the cheap price tag. I like this K prop that I saw, right? I like not the K prop, I like the projection I saw on his strikeout. So, and I target strikeouts a ton in DFS. I want to be bailed out, right? Like, I mean, those strikeouts can help you a ton. If you give up a home run here or there, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, just doing a quick search of kind of the main metrics that I look at, and yeah, he looks okay. I think that's a good call. I just be completely honest, I overlooked him coming into this slate. You guys like him, and looking at kind of under the hood here, I like him too. So I'm in on him. I'll obviously do some more digging when we're done, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good call there. Yeah, and I don't want to say Ray is a bad call because I do like Robbie Ray. We'll have exposure there, but I do have one pitcher that really does stand out to me today. That I'll have playing 20 lineups. I'll have close to 100% of Charlie Morton for the Braves, a guy who struggled early on. And I was kind of saying every start, I really don't think there's much wrong with Charlie Morton here. I expect him to kind of return to that 2019 version with the Rays, where he was, a kind of a Cy Young contender-ish type pitcher, an ace, a true ace. And he's slowly gotten better throughout the year, but he is coming off his two best starts of the year. One against the same team that he faces tonight, the New York Mets, has thrown 112, 107 pitches in his last two starts. So we know he's stretched out, ready to go. What do you have? 38.8 against the Mets and 32.3 against the Cardinals. Here's the thing. He made a big change 2 starts ago. So if you look at what Morton's best pitches are, just in terms of like the pitch values, but also, getting swinging strikes, it's his four-seam fastball and his curveball. He's got one of the best curveballs in baseball. His four-seam fastball also gets a lot of whiffs. In the last 2 starts, he ditched his sinker, which is his worst pitch. And he was throwing that 20 to 25% of the time. He replaced those 20 pitches per game with his 2 best pitches, his four-seamer and his curveball. And he had his 2 best starts of the year, right? So you can't say for sure, but I assume he's going to keep up that approach, which clearly is the best approach. Clearly worked for him last time. And the Mets, I know they're getting a little bit healthier, but this is still a good matchup. And the last point I'll make with Morton, Atlanta's typically a hitter's park, right? Part of the reason for that is because it's such a better hitter's park than most places in April and May when it's warm in Atlanta and 50 degrees in Boston and New York. Today, it's 80 degrees in Atlanta and 92 degrees in Boston. So there's like a ballpark radar account that I look at a little bit, and they said, I don't know if I would go this far personally, but their thing that they said was Atlanta was the best pitcher's park on this slate today because of where the heat is everywhere, which interesting, wind blowing in. Again, I don't know if I would go that far, but point is, I don't think you should be worried about the park factors here. So Charlie Morton, the guy for me. I probably said enough when we got to get out of here by 6 Eastern, right?
Yeah. So definitely think the Morton call is a good one. Hoop, I guess you and I were on a guy Mejia, right? And DC wasn't. I didn't see that coming. You and I both on the same guy that DC didn't even consider.
Yeah, I joined the party. You guys are right. I missed that one.
I'm fine with it. I'm just shocked that happened, right? You're the pitching guru, right?
It is somewhat rare for someone else to be on a cheap pitcher that I didn't like previously. I'm always like, yeah, I'm in on him too.
Yeah, I wasn't in on Morton as much, and I think DC brought some good thoughts there. Hoop, do you have any? I don't really want to spend up too much at pitcher. Like, I like the Ray call. That's probably my favorite spend up guy. What did you think of his Morton idea in the mid tier? And do you have any other guys you want to discuss?
Yeah, I like the Morton stuff. I actually just made an adjustment to the cash chart based on that statement. So he's in a pricing tier that's kind of, it's a discount from those upper tier guys, and it will help you upgrade 1 or 2 bats. So don't hate him. And then the Mejia call at 6.1K. This is a slate where I could see myself potentially paying up for 1 pitcher spot and then paying all the way down at another spot, just because of the bats on the slate. And we have a lot of them that we're going to want to get exposure to, like I said. So I'm looking at about probably 5 or 6 guys tonight that'll be in my player pool.
All right. Hope, give us 3 of them. So you don't give away the whole cash chart. Give us 3 guys. You don't have to give the order. Just give some of them out, though.
Yeah, like I said, Robbie Ray, I think is my favorite spend. Mejia, if I'm going cheap, and then I'm fine going to Morton right there at that 8.8K.
All right, we'll go over to you, DC. Give me your pitching breakdown. Give me your final thoughts here. You talked about a bunch of different guys. Sounds like Morton is going to be more towards the top, but give me some like your 4 to 5 pitchers that you like on this slate.
Yeah, final word on Morton. I would take him if I had to. I don't, but I would take him straight up over any other pitcher on this slate. I feel that confident in this call. So beyond that, I do like the Mejia call. I'm going to work him into my lineups for sure. And then the other guy, I was on him yesterday too. He got rained out, Kenta Maeda, who I do think is going to make a rebound here. Missed a few weeks with from the IL. It was kind of like almost I think it was just kind of rest, like trying to get him right and ready to go. His game back has pitched better these last 2 times out, not perfectly, but better. Like what I've seen from him. And listen, people look at the Chicago White Sox. I know you're a White Sox fan or you like to stack the White Sox men going, but like this is not that scary of a lineup. The stats bear it out. If you look at them in the last 30 days, they're against right-handed pitching, either kind of middle or bottom of the barrel in a lot of stats. So yeah, I think Kenta Maeda's got a pretty good chance to pitch well here. I like his price point, $7K. I do still prefer him over Mejia, but I think Mejia enters the conversation. And then, if you want to get a little contrarian too, I don't mind Armand Marquez. I know it's in Coors Field, but not super hot here in Denver today. It's the Pirates, right? He's at home, and he's had a number of good outings at home. So I think Marquez at 7,700 going to give you some length and can certainly get there. I will say I did see in our Discord, not that people in there were on him, but people are on Blake Snell, I guess, on the industry, projected to be highly owned. I just don't at all agree with that. So I'll throw that out there.
I don't agree with that either. And I will say, DC, if you went into my DMs and I didn't put this in the Run Pure Discord, but I did say to someone, you can find proof before the show, a timestamp. I said Maeda against the White Sox is interesting. I don't mind it, which
I think he's going to pitch well. I really do. And
they're just there's no one left, right? I mean, Jake Lamb is now gone, but the only thing you can say is, do you attack a guy named Gavin Sheets? I mean, Hoop, this has got to be a team workbench player, right? His name is Gavin Sheets. You got to like this guy, right?
Sheets. I mean, Sheets fits in with the RPS play for sure. I mean, that's clearly an RPS guy. There's just no. I've
never heard of this guy, so I got to look him up.
I
hope he's not good.
well,
Big T. I mean, Big T has to be on him, right?
Oh yeah,
maybe not yet, but I will tell you this: if there's a spot that like the White Sox are his stack of the day, and there's a guy, and if Gavin Sheets is in the 6 or 9 hole, and it's against the righty, and it's a lefty, Big T is going to be playing some Gavin Sheets. I promise you, just because of the name alone.
Yeah, well, I'll say this: he's
2K.
He's 6'5", 230, big slugging first base.
Oh, that's a big T's on him.
He's 6'5", 230, man.
With this guy. 70 grade raw power, which is out of 80 on the baseball scale the scouts use. So, like, I would say, I don't know, probably 5% or less of prospects have 70 or higher raw power grade. So this guy's a masher, and
he's basically Big T, but like 70 pounds lighter.
Yeah, he's big Gavin Sheets, we'll call him Big Sheets.
It's a mini Big T.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too good. If you had Gavin Sheets as the first hitter we talked about on this slate, man, like congrats on betting that one, because no one saw that one coming. But let's dive in now after talking about pitchers. Let's talk about the hitters. Let's go over to the catchers, and let's go over to UDC. That KC Boston game has been pretty good. You got Salvador Perez at the top, right? You got Gary Sanchez in the hot weather too. There are some guys to pay for, but it's a big slate, and you can always find some cheap catchers. So DC, are we going cheap or are we spending it up?
Yeah, I don't love this slate in particular for catchers. I think you nailed the 2 guys in that KC Boston game that I like, Salvador Perez and Christian Vasquez. I talked about yesterday, one of my takes was that Garrett Richards is just kind of done without this stuff. And man, he got through 5+ innings, but 11 hits. I think he gave up 5-6 earned runs. He was lucky. It could have been a lot worse for him. I think Nick Pivetta is going the same way. I think it's not going to go well for Nick Pivetta here, this game or in the future, right? Like, I just think he's kind of screwed, frankly, with the new rules baseball is enforcing. So, yeah, in on Salvador Perez and the Royals in general, in on Christian Vasquez. Tyler Stevenson, 3,900. I like the Reds against Blake Snell. I was on them last, full disclosure, I was on them last time out against the Dodgers. They didn't really come through, but Snell gave up, in 5 innings, 4 hits and 3 walks, right? Like he was kind of in trouble. They just didn't break through. If you look at Blake Snell's stats against righties on the road this year, they're just absolutely horrendous. I think the Reds could do some damage here. So Stevenson hitting cleanup again, like he usually does against lefties, I think a pretty good play. Cheaper guys, I don't really see a ton. I wouldn't mind punting this position if you could. Luis Torrens against Robbie Ray, hitting 5th for the Seattle Mariners. He's got a little bit of pop, but yeah, overall, it's kind of a blah position, and maybe one that you just kind of throw it in there with your stack if you're going with the stack tonight.
Yeah, I will say Dom Nunez is, 2.4K.
I know he's so bad though, but yeah. Yeah.
Agreed. But listen, Titletown is somewhere in the sheets getting excited about playing a 2.4K catcher.
He's not in there, so Title can put it back in his pants. We got Elias
Diaz. Title can tuck it away and save it for his Bucks and Suns because he's not in there.
Yeah. All right. So
you know what? And big, I gave Title a little credit, and I started thinking about it a little more with the Suns. Big T kind of laid it out yesterday in a tweet. They have had literally the easiest path of all time, like to get to the NBA Finals, and they still might mess.
The Bucks, by that matter,
and the Bucks too. It's like crazy. Like it's literally been the easiest path for two teams. And Title's victory lap, and I retract the L I took last week. Screw Title. We're going to keep hating on him.
For what it's worth, if you did say, and as a Suns backer, I'd say you said the Suns will not make it out the first round. So I don't know. I mean, if you were saying maybe like, they wouldn't.
Mango never forgets anything. You gotta. What's the animal that has like the great memory? Isn't it like an elephant?
I believe it's an elephant. Yeah.
Yeah, Mangone's like an elephant. He doesn't let you off the hook on anything. He has like a.
You just turned it around. You took your L and then you retracted it.
Well, that's like when he took the victory. That's when he took the victory lap, like 47 days later, about a weather game that I was wrong about on like the second.
Yeah, Mangone. I swear to God, come on, man. You don't forget anything.
Yeah.
I only remember the things you're not supposed to remember. If it's important, I will not remember it. But if it is useless, I got you covered. I will remember that thing. So. He
has all Mangone. You have all the ammo. You have the ammo loaded and ready to go, just to put somebody down when you need to.
My advice to you, Mr. Siege, if you're watching, don't make enemies with Mangone because he will remember all your takes.
Well, I body bagged him enough. Don't worry. We take care of that when we need to. But let's go to catcher for Hoop. Right. Are you spending up or down, Hoop? I mean, we talked about this slate, right? There are pitchers you want to spend on, and if I want, I can go down to some guys and maybe spend at catcher today. But we do have some guys that people want to roster, right? Giolito's not a bad option. I feel like it's not one of those days you're pushed to roster a catcher for cheap or up top. So how are you handling the position?
Probably going cheap at catcher, and there's a few guys you can play. Now, I will name, like, if I am going to go up, I think I'll still go to like a guy like Gary Sanchez, 4.8K. I think he's in play. Tyler Stevenson, like DC said, 3.9K, batting fourth. I feel good about him. But we have a lot of cheap guys that we can look at today. One of the guys I had on my list is Luis Torrens, like DC mentioned as well. And then he's 2.4, and then like Zach Collins, he's batting fifth against Maeda, 2.5K. I'm leaning towards really just saving money here. I mean, I don't see a premier spend. Like if I'm going to spend over – if I'm going to spend close to 5K on a guy, I probably wanted another position. I'm most likely just punting it off. We have a few options. Like I said, Torrens, Collins, both, 2.4K, 2.5K. I don't really see a need to spend here in cash games. Obviously, that can differ in tournaments where you're looking to stack and whatnot. So for me right now, it's probably going to be a save position.
Yep, I'm with you. Or, how you fill out your stack, right? That's always a good way to go. It's a 15-game slate, so good way to approach it. DC, I'll go over to you to talk about the first base position. And before we do that, I want to mention in the chat. So someone said, Casey Mann said, is his dad Larry Sheets? And Larry Sheets is 6'3", right? And he's like 215, it says. So there could be some correlation there. And I've heard you say, hey, the all father-son players, right? The Suns have been killing it, right? Not the Phoenix Suns, the Suns in the MLB, right? Vlad Guerrero Jr. So, man, Gavin Sheets, he could be on that team if you want to build a team out of all those good players. But let's talk about Vlad Guerrero Jr., though, at the top, DC. First baseman. The Toronto Blue Jays have been absolutely awesome, and they get Chris Flexen. So are you going to be loading in a guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr. on your teams tonight?
I'm not sure on Vlad. I think I'm kind of off the Blue Jays. Flexen, I've been impressed with what I've seen from him so far. Again, you want to stack the Blue Jays. I'm not going to talk anybody off of that, but I think I like some other spots better. And Mangone, all you had to do was Google it. I literally typed in Google Larry Sheets' son. First thing that pops up, Mr. Gavin Sheets himself. So there you go.
Well, I mean, DC, I'm doing a show here. I'm trying to dress it up. I don't need to tell people.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the host job at least. But yeah, see, if he is his son, we got to put him on that team, right? I mean, that's been the team that's been mashing.
Listen. I'm still playing some Maeda. On teams that don't have Maeda, I'm taking the 2K Gavin Sheets for sure. So I got no problem with that. I'll join.
Yeah, if you build out a roster and 2K is there in the outfield, it'll just fit well. You're not going out of your way, but if it fits there, you may as well just do it.
I'll join the Big Sheets team because we know Big T's taking him tonight. Because there's no way he's taking my head. Sometimes you just know with Big T.
I'm almost. It was like yesterday when we were on the show and the Angels lineup came out and Big T was in the chat stroking to who was it? Scotty Schebler, right?
Yeah.
2K batting 6. This is like the exact same situation.
Preferably a left-handed bat, right? I think he prefers the left-handed platoon guys a little bit more.
He's going to be on cheats. I will. I mean, I put a lot of money on this. Actually, he's going to recommend Gavin Sheets.
I have more confidence that Big T will be on cheats than I do in anything else on this entire slate. But I think that's pretty set in stone. Top first baseman, I would prefer actually Matt Olson, I think, over Vladdy on this particular slate. Fulte just gets crushed by left-handed bats. Always has, always will. So I think Matt Olson, a really strong option. I do like Freeman up there a little bit as well. And then, going back to those Indians lefties, we were really big on the Indians yesterday. I wish I would have played more of them. They went off. Jose Urena, who's pitching for the Tigers tonight, has really struggled recently and always struggles against left-handed bats. So Bobby Bradley and this Indian stack, it's mostly lefties at the top of that lineup, I think are a super strong play. And then, of course, Shohei Ohtani. What is every single day with this guy? I mean, just first inning bomb. I think it was like 117, 118, which is like second or third this year off the bat. I mean, he's just incredible. And Jameson Taillon's certainly not going to scare me off of that. So Ohtani, I don't know why he's down to 4,900 when he hits a home run every single day, but is what it is. He's an awesome play again.
Yeah, I mean, I had some Ohtani yesterday, and it was fun seeing that home run right away, right, in that short left field porch. So I love me some Ohtani today. Definitely someone I might look to roster. How about you? You playing some Ohtani? You playing some Vlad Guerrero? Or are you paying down for a guy at first base?
Yeah, Ohtani. I mean, you had him highlighted on the cash chart yesterday. I checked that puppy out before I submitted my lineups, and you had Ohtani was a highlighted play. Good call there. And yeah, for some reason, they just don't want to give him this, superstar price tag that some of these other guys get. It's a good ballpark here, obviously, in New York, 4.9K. I definitely have him, start at the top of my list here as a guy that I want to be on. Vlad Guerrero as well at 6K. So you have two spends. If you want to save a little bit of money, Ryan Zimmerman, I haven't seen the Nationals lineup, but he's only 3.3K against Rich Hill. Real good price tag for him. He, I believe, hit a pinch hit bomb yesterday. So if he's in there in the middle of the order, 3.3, too cheap. And I know we keep joking about this Gavin Sheets guy, but he's only 2K. And if you're looking for a punt,
he's a great player. He's a great player. Yeah. It's not a joke.
Yeah. I mean, we are making some fun with it, but Gavin Sheets is, I think, in play at 2K. And then, our boy, well, I guess it was DC's boy, Ryan O'Hearn, 2.9K. I just think that's a good price tag for him against Pivetta. So a lot of different ways to go here. We have the premier spends in Vlad and Ohtani, and some cheap guys that we can definitely consider.
All right. Well, DC, I know since you're in mom's basement, there's no way there's a standing desk down there. You're not for health, right? So sit down. You're already sitting, but Blake Snell is scratched, and that's hurtful for you because you were excited for everyone to roster Blake Snell and just be out of the.
Nobody runs worse than DC. Just another time I'm running bad over here.
So what do we do here with this news, right? Do we know who the new pitcher is, DC? I mean, is it possibly a bullpen game? Because the Reds, I mean, I wouldn't sleep on them completely, right? I mean, they're a team I was not really going to play too much of, but I don't know. Does a bullpen game get you more excited, or is there some other bad arm that could be in there now?
I don't know. Yeah, that news must have just came across. I haven't seen.
I see someone said Stamen is starting instead.
Okay, so yeah, he's a bullpen arm. So yeah, bullpen game for the Padres. I'll have to dive into that. I mean, just to be completely honest, my main excitement for the Reds was to face Blake Snell himself. Like I was targeting him. That's the reason I like the Reds so much. So this is a legit bummer to me. It wasn't I'm targeting because Blake Snell is going to be popular. I mean, that's just a bonus. I thought the Reds were going to punish him. So yeah, I guess a little bit of a bummer. Is what it is.
DC, how do you handle bullpen games? Like, are you I know Big T stays away from them. How do you handle them? Like, if it's like Arizona, sure. I mean, it's bad, but San Diego's bullpen, I don't know how good they are. And I guess let's get your whole take on that. Yeah,
I'll have to look into their bullpen a little bit more. They've lost some guys. They're not the greatest bullpen.
And it's a short park, right? I mean, it's Cincinnati, right? So you cannot sleep on that
park. A lot of it depends on like who's available out of the pen, and then I mean, you're still kind of looking at matchups, so you can kind of predict who's going to come in and out of the bullpen at specific times. So again, this was kind of an unexpected scratch for Snell, so I will have to dig into that a little bit. Brief glance. Yeah, I don't think there's a ton in that Padres bullpen to fear. The problem is they didn't play yesterday, so everybody's rested. So they're going to bring out the best possible reliever to try to get the next 3 or 4 guys out every single inning, right? And that's just kind of an annoying thing to go against. So I'll be less in on the Reds than I was with Snell pitching, no question about it.
All right, we'll go to Hoop, and we got people in the chat, which if you're in the chat, hit that like and hit that subscribe, guys. Again, helps us out a ton. But we got Thomas Gonzalez. He said, Hoop, you're on the money with Cleveland. Thanks, man. And since we're talking about Cleveland, let's talk about second base, and let's talk about Cesar Hernandez against Urena, who cannot get lefties out. I mean, Cesar Hernandez is not a bad option. Hoop, talk to me about this second base position. Is Cesar going to be someone that you're looking to play?
Yeah, you actually another guy that I literally just added to the cash chart. Just a solid guy. And he's not going to get up there and blast multiple home runs, but he has a lot of different outs. Seems like he hits a lot of doubles. He gets on base. He's a threat to steal. Good price tag, 3.9K. I like the Indians offense. Obviously, they smashed last night. They get a good matchup here again tonight. A big, healthy team total, almost up to 6. And, they're just an offense that people don't play all that much. Like if someone has the option to play like a Yankee stack or a Red Sox stack or a Blue Jay stack when they're in a good spot, they're playing all those teams over the Indians. And we saw that last night. Like if you stayed on the Indians, we talked about it on the show yesterday. We all kind of like the Indians. I know you specifically mentioned Bobby Bradley, who, I like again tonight. No one's going to be on him. I like Cesar Hernandez at second base. There's a lot of guys in that same price range as him. Kiki Hernandez, back-to-back games with leadoff bombs. Can he do it a third time? I don't know, but he's definitely a guy to consider here. 3.8K, good matchup against Keller. I kind of like targeting hitters when they're hot, and he's appeared to find something. So you got him, Cesar at 3.9. You got Kiki at 3.8. If you want some exposure to that Coors game, we got Garrett Hampson batting 6, 3.7, and then Jazz Chisholm 3.7K as well. So really, my player pool here is going to be all 4 of those guys, kind of 3.9 to 3.7K. You fill your second base position. All these guys have some degree of upside, I would argue, and you're not paying a premium at all. So I think this is the range that I'll be living in at this position. I feel pretty good about.
All right, makes a ton of sense. We also got the chat correct me saying it's Cesar Hernandez, but once you say it one way, you're stuck with it for life. It's just how it works. But I'll try better. Cesar Hernandez, as they say, DC. I also don't want to ignore Brandon Lowe, however you want to say it, DC. I always get it wrong, but he is 2.9K on FanDuel, right? FanDuel sometimes has some egregious price tags, and 4.9 on DK for him, but 2.9 on FanDuel. Definitely a great play against Joe Ross today, DC. What do you think of that? What do you think of the whole position?
Well, we got a bunch of cops in our chat. You can't say Cesar Hernandez. Come on, that's close enough. We're not calling it out on that. So
to be fair, DC, his name is Cesar Martinez or Cesar Martinez. So I think that's why it's his own name and getting attacked.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I guess. Okay. We'll give him a pass then. All right. That makes some sense. Second base, just to kind of round it out from what Hoop was saying. Yes, Mangone. I really like the Rays lefties today. Joe Ross, I know he's had a few good games in a row. I'm not buying it for him in this start. He's still bad against lefties. If you look at the numbers, just gets hit really, really hard. Always has. He has not changed as a pitcher. It's all fastball slider. So he doesn't have that like off-speed changeup, right, to get lefties out. So yeah, Brandon Lowe, I can never remember. I've given up trying. I think is a good play. Joey Wendell, same position, same team. I slightly prefer Brandon Lowe, I think, but I like both guys, and I kind of like that entire Rays stack. First 6 guys are lefties, right? The Rays know what's up here against Joe Ross, loading up the lefties against him. So that's a great option. And then, I'd like Hoops guys. I'll throw in one more guy, Josh Rojas for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Anticipate him leading off. Second, shortstop eligible, just 3,200, homered yesterday in St. Louis. Just a pretty good hitter. And, Carlos Martinez, just can't strike anybody out, and Rojas has some power, some speed. I think he's a really good play if you need the punt.
We got a new member in the chat. Sheets 4444.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That's too good. So there's got to be a coincidence there. Let's go to third base. Let's talk Jose Ramirez, another lefty that you got to talk about here at the third base position. And we haven't talked too much about the Padres, but I kind of like them today. Manny Machado at 5-0. I think he's a really good play. And then all the way at the bottom, you got Emmanuel Rivera, which he's 2K, right? He just kind of allows you to get all the guys in your lineup. So third base, are you going all the way to the top or are you going all the way down?
Well, I think that's what you do. I think you do one of those two things, like you just mentioned. We talked about Rivera yesterday. He was 2K, he's still 2K. If you want to punt off this position and spend, elsewhere, I think that is totally acceptable. I mean, he's a fine play at 2K. Now, if I'm not going all the way down, I'm doing what you just said. I'm going all the way up. And there's a lot of guys all the way up. Jose Ramirez, Machado. I like both those guys. Ryan McMahon batting fifth in Coors, Devers 5.5K. So for me, pretty clear cut what I want to do at this position. I'm either punting it off with Rivera, or I'm most likely going to be spending all the way up with those four guys that I kind of just mentioned. You can play Wendell here too, who I kind of like. Wendell's kind of been one of my guys. He's 4.1K, but for me, more times than not, when I go in and go to third base, it's going to be Rivera or one of these guys all the way up, because they're all in offenses that I want to stack up tonight too. So if I'm stacking, it's probably going to be with one of those guys or just punting.
Yep, and DC, I'm going to go over to you to talk third base here, but one of Big T's guys has entered the chat, right? Mr. Asdrubal Cabrera. I mean, this is the day for him, right? The Big T rule. I think you play him against, I believe it's against righties. I think that's how you play Cabrera. Maybe I'm wrong. DC, is this correct or not? Do you know if this is the Big T rule? But 2.5K against Carlos Martinez, you definitely can't ignore Asdrubal Cabrera.
Yeah, I played him a little bit yesterday too, just because he was.
Oh, you're not supposed to. I think yesterday was the day not to play him.
Oh, my bad.
Because that was a lefty, right? Nope. That was LeBlanc.
Yeah. No wonder he only got a couple of hits. So my fault there. Shouldn't have played him. But yeah, tonight, I think the rule, I'm learning from Big T as I go along here, but I think the rule is if you are a switch hitter, you always prefer the guy to be from the left side. It seems that way. I don't know. There must be at least a couple exceptions, but yeah, Asdrubal Cabrera, good play for sure at 2,500. Yeah, Emmanuel Rivera, we talked about him a little bit on yesterday's show. Clearly has power, was leading AAA in home runs while he was there. And then you saw yesterday, a couple, I think, opposite field knocks. I know for sure at least the first one was. So he's proven he can do something beyond that, right? He can hit a little bit and help you even if he's not going deep. So yeah, I like the Royals, 2K, Rivera looks great. And then I'm on the same guys as you up top. I think it's very, very close between Devers and Ramirez for me as the top guys. I think maybe more people go to McMahon. I'll take the two just better hitters. They're in good hitting environments too over McMahon. But yeah, great spends up top, of course. No problem with Machado either. Brian Hayes, right, against Marquez, I think is fine. But yeah, Devers, Ramirez, my top two, and then going all the way down to Asdrubal and Emmanuel Rivera, I think is the best approach here.
All right, you talked about spending up. I want to spend up at shortstop, and I think it's with Fernando Tatis. I think it's a really good day to go over to him. So, Hoop, we'll go over to you. Can you jam in a Tatis in your lineup, or do you have to use it to save some salary with like a Paul DeJong against a lefty who hit a home run yesterday? Our boy Wander Franco is now at 4.7K. I know DC talked about liking Tampa Bay a little bit, but Franco's getting a little pricey. So, a lot of different ways to go at shortstop, Hoop, but which way are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get up to the top, and Tatis is definitely the guy. But it's 6K, and you're going to have to make some sacrifices in your lineup. If you end up playing a guy like Tatis, you're probably going to have to save some money at third base, where we just talked about the guy Rivera. Probably going to have to look at him and spend up on Tatis. But Tatis in a really, really good spot here. Good ballpark in Cincinnati. Have a ton of interest in him. If you can't get all the way up there, I'm going to definitely be looking to save some money. And gosh, these Yankees bets just are so hurtful every single night for some reason. Maybe it's just me, but whenever I play the Yankees, I kind of dud out. But Gleyber Torres, 3.5K, I think is a guy you can use here. Rojas, like DC mentioned, at second base. You can play him at shortstop too. He's only 3.2K. He's definitely an option. But yeah, I'm most likely going to be, Tatis or one of these guys mid 3 or below. Trevor Story's there at 6.1K. I just kind of prefer Tatis over him. So that's kind of my thoughts at shortstop.
Yeah, and DC, this is exactly what I was going to say to you. I was going to talk about Trevor Story and say, is he a great pivot off of Tatis? Because I mean, he gets Chase DeJong, and we're not scared of him, right? I mean, it's in Coors Field. Trevor Story is starting to turn it around, at least it seems, right? When you look at the game log of it, looks like he's hitting a little bit better. Is he a really interesting pivot off of a guy like Tatis at the top, DC?
Well, my question for you would be, who's a pivot off of who? Because I don't know if Fernando Tatis is going to be more heavily owned than Trevor Story, both sitting there right at 6K. You got Coors Field for Story and, not Coors Field for Tatis. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see. I do prefer Tatis. If you told me they were going to be the same ownership, I would. If you told me one was going to be twice as owned as the other, I would play the other guy. I'm just not quite sure where that's going to fall. I really like Xander Bogaerts on the Red Sox here. The Red Sox, my favorite stack today. Brad Keller, I mean, the stats show that he sucks, but also I will say I've played Brad Keller a few times this season because he's been super cheap and in some good spots against the Tigers or something. Even before this guy gives up a hit, you're just like, man, why did I roster this guy? He is just absolutely terrible. Like he's never hitting his spots and he just looks awful. You just kind of know. He's like, there's no way he's going to pitch some gem here. He's just not good enough to do it. And so that's kind of in the back of my head. Now I'm like, he's got to go into Fenway where it's 91 degrees against this Red Sox team. And I'm like, I just feel pretty strongly it's going to go south for him. So yeah, I do really like Xander Bogaerts with a little bit of savings there. Talked about Wander Franco and the Rays. I think that's a good way to go. And then, yeah, Josh Rojas, kind of my favorite play in the mid-range, both middle infield positions, second base, shortstop, 3,200. Pretty sure he'll be hitting leadoff. So like that call a lot too.
All right, let's move on over to the outfield. Before we do that, Hoop, we got 206 likes, 464 watching. What number are we doing? Are we good with the 200? What's our thoughts here, Hoop?
That's pretty good. I mean, I think we can do a little bit better. I mean, we're going to talk about the outfield, and then we're going to go to the stacks and the plays of the day. So do us a little bit better. I think we can get this number up a little bit higher before we get to the end of the show. So I mean, it's not bad, but we can do better.
Yeah, I mean, you guys gave us a nice push. Let's push past those dislikes big time and keep that ratio going. And we'll give you those plays of the day. And DC, are we doing good on time? We got 13 minutes to do the outfield stacks and plays. I mean, DC, you think we're doing a good job here?
I mean, you tell me. You could start rambling about anything for 10 minutes. So I can't stop doing that.
All right. Well, I won't ramble too long. I will talk about the outfield, and I'll go over to you, Hoop. I'll talk about Ohtani, and then I want to talk about how that we got all these Coors outfielders, right? I mean. This is the segment where title's peeling, right? I mean, Polanco's 3K, Brian Reynolds is 3.7, Daz is 3.1, Tapia 4.3. I mean, we have all these cheap guys on the Rockies. I think everyone's going to be peppering their outfield in cash games with just Rockies and Pirates, Hoop. So is that correct, or are people going to be spending up on other guys?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the pricing overall, I think, is pretty good on the slate, but then you get to the outfield and you got some extreme value and a lot of it. The Rockies guys, Tapia 4.3, Daza 3.1K, like he's going to be super, super popular. You can play Hampson out here too at 3.7. You got Reynolds, like you talked about, 3.7K. Then you got some guys outside of Coors that I think are really good values. George Springer, 4.2K. You talked about Ohtani at 4.9. That's just too cheap for him. Verdugo, 4.1K. Really nice price tag for him as well. Castellanos is only 4K. I like him, even though Snell's the one that got scratched, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, 4K flat for Castellanos is a really nice price tag. We can even go to the Houston guys who we really haven't talked about Houston all that much, but Tucker, Altuve, I think are no, not Altuve, Tucker and Alvarez, I think are fine options as well. There's a lot of cheap guys. Baddoo, 3K flat batting leadoff. We talked about Mejia and we like him, but 3K at the top for Baddoo is a really nice price tag as well. I mean, there's just a lot of mispriced guys, in my opinion, at this position. And there's enough of them where I think you don't really need to be all that worried about ownership. I mean, I assume most of these guys get spread out because there's so many of them here that are good, solid value options.
All right, DC, what's your thoughts on some of these outfielders? There's one guy a little bit more pricey than some of those guys who've said that I like, and I like the Padres stack today, and Trent Grisham, right, in that 5-hole. He's someone that I'm looking at in that small park that I know will be low owned for one. Again, ownership, it's a big slate. Don't have to worry about too much, but throughout my Padres stack, I know it's a guy that people, maybe they'll skip over.
Yeah, if you're on the Padres, I would certainly include him. And yeah, I think the Padres are a good stack. Cardinals guys, Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, always in play versus a lefty who gives up a lot of home runs, and Caleb Smith. Yeah, kind of this right around 4K range is an area I like quite a bit. You guys talked about Castellanos and Grisham. I'll bring up Alex Verdugo for the Boston Red Sox. Cody Bellinger remains at 4,100. That's too cheap for him. Eddie Rosario, I love those Cleveland lefties. He's at 4K. Joey Gallo, Caprillion, I think, is going to give up a lot of home runs to left-handed bats. He just throws a ton of fastballs, and Gallo is on fire right now. I think he's a great play. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of different ways you can go. I know, Mangone, I'm not allowed to mention Twins, so I'll just do it very briefly. I do like their outfielders, Kepler, Kirilloff, and Larnach, all pretty cheap. And listen, Giolito's giving up a lot of home runs to left-handed bats this year. He just is. Good hitting park in Chicago, obviously. So yeah, those guys I think all have pretty big upside.
All right, we've got some people in the chat asking about Cleveland rain today, or possibly middle of the day. DC, do you have the weather report for the day? I mean, you've been known to tout some weather sometime in your day, so give us the quick weather report before we go into the stacks and go into the plays of the day.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on initial thoughts, I wasn't really worried. It's kind of, just the passing storms that we often see, and sometimes teams make the early decision. Like yesterday, the White Sox decided to postpone the game, but typically if they decide to try to play, these storms will pass through, and we'll see. So I can pull it up quick, but no, initially I kind of wasn't worried when I looked like 2-3 hours ago.
Yeah, I don't think we're too worried about it. And that's for the Discord chat, right? Be sure to get in that Discord chat. We'll talk about all the stuff. If there's ever any delays, we'll mention that. If there's any starting pitcher scratches, we'll talk about that. It's all in the Discord chat. Use that code RPSHeater25 to get 25% off your first payment and get in on those winners. But Hoop, I'll go over to you. Let's talk about the stacks. My favorite stack is the Padres right now. That's the one I'm targeting. Are they on your radar, and who are some of the other stacks that you're looking at?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely like the Padres. I think they're in a good spot here. The majority of the ownership is probably going to be going to like the Rockies and Toronto and, maybe Boston. Outside of that, I don't think we need to be worried about ownership all that much. The Padres are definitely one that I have interest in. I like the Nationals as a stack. We talked about Ryan Zimmerman. He is in there batting fourth, 3.3K. I think he is a solid option. And then another one that I have some interest in was the A's. DC kind of mentioned Fultonovich's issues with left-handed batters. They have some guys that can make him pay. So I think the A's are a solid one that might kind of fly under the radar a little bit here tonight.
All right, DC, how about you? Who are some of the stacks you're targeting? Now that you don't have Blake Snell on the slate and you can't play as many Reds, you got to kind of rework your stack. So who are they?
Yeah, just very briefly, just refreshing that Cleveland radar. Yeah, definitely more concerned than I was a couple hours ago when I looked at it. So we're going to have to pay attention to that for sure. So good.
And not good for our guy Mejia, right? That could hurt us a little bit. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty likely that game at least starts in delay, I would say, in Cleveland, based on what I'm seeing. My favorite stack by far is Boston tonight. Again, I talked about them at length throughout the show, but just don't see it with Brad Keller. They've got a tired, kind of beaten down bullpen a little bit. And I think Boston is going to do their thing. If we can go to Cleveland, I do really like them against Jose Urinas, specifically the lefties, but that's most of their lineup. So yeah, I mean, 1 through 7, I think you can play certainly for Cleveland. I'll throw in the Astros were hurtful yesterday, but man, I can't. This team's just so good. You're not going to go off every single game. They got a matchup right against the Baltimore Orioles. Like you asked me about bullpen games. I mean, when it's Baltimore's bullpen, okay, and then the Astros. So I really do like the Astros. They're expensive, but maybe coming off a disappointing game. they'll rebound for some of you guys.
All right. Don't got too much else to say at the stacks. We got to go to the plays of the day now. Hoop, we got 238 likes. I think we can give out the plays, Hoop. Is that a fair statement?
Good number.
Yeah, that's a solid number. They the chat came through for us, and we are very grateful for that. So the chat, we appreciate it, and yes, we can move on now to the plays of the day.
Yeah, before we move on to the plays, we'll mention the premium show is coming up at 6:00. So be sure to check that out. We got Big T, we got JSU, we got Holden. They'll be breaking down the MLB, and then afterwards they'll break down the Showdown stuff. Where again, we've talked about it a ton, and we, Hoop, you hate. I mean, it's been since February. We just talk about how the heater Big T is on, and it never stops. But hey, it does not stop. So be sure to check that out. They'll be breaking down that Showdown slate. But let's go over to the plays of the day. And Hoop, I'll go over to you first. Give me the 4X play of the day.
The 4X play of the day is going to be a first baseman. I talked about the Nationals. I like them. Ryan Zimmerman, 3.3K. Like that price tag on him, batting fourth there. I think he gets us a bomb. Hit one last night. I think he does it again tonight against Rich Hill. Give me Ryan Zimmerman as the 4X play of the day tonight.
All right, my play of the day, it's going to be, I mentioned him in the outfield. It's going to be Trent Grisham. If I'm playing those Padres, I want to get him in there. I think he's a really good option and can hit a home run today. So give me Trent Grisham as my favorite play of the day at some lower ownership. DC, I'll go over to you though. Mom's basement play of the day. Who do we got here? You giving us a pitcher? You giving us a couple outfielders? How many are we getting here?
We'll go two today. I was just going to go with a pitcher for the play of the day, but my play of the day yesterday, Kyle Schwarber, double dong. So I can't leave you guys without a hitter who has a chance to do the same. So Charlie Morton is the pitcher. Again, talked a lot about him early on. You can go to the beginning of the show for that if you want. And then I'm going with Alex Verdugo for the Red Sox, hitting second for them. Pretty good price tag, 4.1K. And Red Sox are my favorite stack. So Verdugo and Charlie Morton.
All right, DC, I love the Verdugo call. DC, it's 4:56, so we have 4 minutes to kill. I mean, whatever you want to do, or we can get out of here early for Hoop. What do you want to do here, DC? If you want to
let's get Hoop on his way. You never know, you might run into some traffic. Anything could happen. You could blow a tire, so not too many minutes to spare there.
Could be traffic, quick bench session. We know Hoop can finish gassing up.
I need to lock in. I need to get in there and make sure I can lock in Bryson as my playing partner. I mean, how disappointing if it was like a one-on-one event. Bryson gets up there, and he's a competitive dude, and he gets paired up with Hoop, who may or may not be able to get off the tee on about 50% of the holes. I don't think he'd be thrilled.
The good news is you don't have to. So if for some reason you do get paired with Bryson Hoop, if you do, go pull out that 8 and 9 iron and practice that all night. That's what you got to do.
Hey, you know what? That's part. I was talking with my caddy earlier, and that's definitely part of the game plan. If we're struggling off the tee, we're going to pull out the 5 iron and just put something out there about 200 yards and move on.
There you go. Excellent.
5 iron's a good club for me. I will say that. The driver is by far the iffiest club that I have in the bag. The irons are pretty good. 5 iron has been trusty over the years. So if there's struggle, you'll see me with the 5 iron off the tee. Even on par 5s, I won't hesitate to do it.
Watch out for Hoop on the course tomorrow. That should be fun. Brad says no Marlins talk at all. Nope, because we got to be out of here by 5, Brad. You can ask that question in the Discord if you would like, but don't think you need to play too many Marlins today. But that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, Hoop, and DC. See you guys later.